Sir, good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Daryl Bell.
Mr. Bell, you were arrested in 20 CF 5783 pursuant to a probable cause warrant for sexual activity with a child in a familial or custodial position, lewd or lascivious molestation, 3 counts, and battery. Ms. Hartwell, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may. Early this morning, the prosecutor assigned to this case, Kaylee Austin Erickson, after prolonged discussions, has filed a no info notice on all 5 counts.
Yes, Your Honor. I see that in our system that we have filed no information on this case.
Okay, then Mr. Bell will be released.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
He's released of all conditions for check-ins as well?
Absolutely,
Good to
yep.
go? Thank you
All right,
kindly.
thank you. No, he's just released. They filed no information notice.
Just ROR. I don't know how long it's going to take to get in their system. I don't know how quickly it's going to show up. So I just do ROR as to this case, excuse me.
Good morning, Mr. B.
Morning, Your Honor.
This is Mr. Chapman.
This is?
Mr. Chapman, you were arrested in 20 CF 6968. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant for failing to register as required. Mr. B, did you want to be heard on bond?
I did, Your Honor. If I could, my client's been out since January 28, 2018. There's never been a problem. He was arrested when he was at his probation officer's office yesterday. From the time he last registered in February, probation was closed. All the courts were pretty much closed. The groups sessions that he was going to were closed. As an explanation why he did not register. He registered all those other times. He's been employed since February 2018 at Winter Park Millwork. He has sole custody of his 10-year-old son, and he lives with his family. So I think I've known Mr. Chapman for 10 years. I think he's a very good risk to appear at all court hearings and to be in compliance with conditions the court has.
State has no objection, Your Honor. This defendant doesn't have any failures to register I see in his history, nor do I see any failures to appear.
Okay. Mr. Chapman, I am going to release you on your own recognizance at this time. You do have reporting requirements when you are released from the jail, so you'll need to comply with those requirements and appear at all future court dates.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
You too. You understand what's going on, Jeff?
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Alan Figueroa, State Certified Flashcode Interpreter.
Good morning, Mr. Figueroa. You're going to be remoting into courtroom 2 in the BRC.
Okay.
Thank you. Sir, good morning. Can you hear me?
Just allow me 1 minute while the interpreter connects to the courtroom, Your Honor.
Oh, sure. No problem. Mr. Figueroa, are you connected?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just trying to establish a connection to the podium and trying to see if the defendant can hear me, but I am on the line.
Okay. Are they calling from Osceola?
Yes, Your Honor. I am in the Osceola office today. That's why it's taking me a little longer just to connect to the
I see.
to
Okay,
this jail.
all right, yeah, it shows up on our screen as Osceola, so I just wanted to make
Yes,
sure. But
yes,
you're
I'm here.
remoting into the BRC, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am, Your Honor. It's just
Okay.
taking a little longer, just a few more seconds.
Sure, no problem.
The defendant can hear me, Your Honor.
Great. Sir, please tell me your name.
Johan Ramirez.
Johan Ramirez.
Mr. Rodriguez, this is 20 CF 6998. You were arrested for battery by strangulation, domestic violence, and aggravated
Señor, usted fue arrestado por agresión física, violencia doméstica, estrangulación.
Mr. Figueroa, I can hear you in the courtroom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
That's okay. Mr. Rodriguez, there's probable cause for each of the offenses. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness present for Mr. Rodriguez?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. Do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No.
All right. And if you need to return to the house one time, you may do so with law enforcement to get your things. I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. Thank you, sir. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Raúl Dávila. Dávila.
Raúl Dávila.
Sir, this is case number 20 CF 7001. You were arrested for driving while license suspended as a habitual offender. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time, sir. You are not to drive without a valid driver's license, and you are to appear at all court dates. You also have a child support writ, and at this time, you will be released on your own recognizance in that matter as well. You do have a hearing set for July 6th at 3 o'clock p.m. You will be given an order that will explain to you how to call in for that hearing. If you fail to call in as required, there will be a warrant issued for your arrest, sir. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Figueroa, that was all the Spanish cases that we had.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
You as well.
We're doing Creole right now. Sure. Is there a witness on the Vital case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Does he need the interpreter also?
No.
You speak English?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Dexter. All right, can the interpreter hear me?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. This is case number 20 CF 7005. If you could please ask the defendant to state her name.
Okay. Bonjour, qui j'en relais, s'il vous plaît?
Neldin Vital.
Neldine Vital?
Yes.
Ma'am, you were arrested for aggravated battery, domestic violence, and battery domestic violence. There is probably...
Yo te arrêté pour attaque sous monde, sous violence domestique et sous attaque sous monde avec une violence domestique.
I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you.
Juge la pral bon défenseur public pour représenter ou.
OK.
OK?
And then this is directed toward the victim. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please raise your right hand to be sworn in by the clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
What's that? I don't hear you clearly. I'm sorry.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the
Yeah,
whole
I swear to
truth?
tell the truth.
Okay, Mr. Vital, if you want to speak in English, you have to speak in English for the whole hearing. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can't switch back and forth between Creole and English.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. Do you want to have contact with your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you afraid of her?
No, ma'am. She's my wife.
Pardon me?
No, ma'am.
And do you have any children in the home?
We got two beautiful daughters.
Excuse me?
We got two beautiful daughters.
Okay, do you have any concerns about your children's safety if I were to allow contact between the two of you?
No, ma'am.
All right. Does they have any questions? No, Your Defense?
Your Honor, do you want me to interpret that to the defendant?
Please.
Hein? OK, madame m'a présumé, ça juge la te demandé Marie ou, il dit que oui, il voulait gagner contact avec vous, que il pas peur ou, parce que vous c'est madame li, que nous gagnons deux belles petites filles ensemble et que il pas gagne aucune inquiétude si juge la te permet de retourner la caille là, il pas gagne inquiétude pour Timonio.
And Madam Clerk, this is now directed to the defendant. Ma'am, you are not to have any hostile contact with your husband.
Madame, ou pas capable de gagner aucun mauvais contact avec Marie ou.
Do you understand what that means?
Est-ce que vous comprenez ça, ça veut dire?
Yes.
Yes.
And you're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Ou pas capable de gagner aucune arme ou bien aucune arme à feu.
I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. You will be released later today.
Juge là ap mette ou nan sa ki rele relâche avant procès, ça veut dire que vous ap sorti jodi a.
OK.
OK.
Thank you.
Was this the only Creole for me?
That will be all, Madam Interpreter. Thank you so much for your help.
You are very welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sure. Sir, good morning.
Morning.
Tell me your name.
James Drake.
All right. How about Miss Barker?
He refused court, Your Honor.
She refused?
Yes, she refused.
All right. And that's 20 CF 7009. I'm going to find a waiver of Ms. Barker's appearance based upon her refusal to come to court. She was arrested for aggravated stalking with a credible threat, aggravated assault with a firearm, home invasion robbery, criminal mischief, and petty theft. There's probable cause for all of the offenses. I will appoint the public defender to represent her. Bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500. Bond on count 2, $150. Bond on count 3, $10,000. Bond on count 4, $150. Bond on count 5, $100. All right, Mr. Drake. Good morning. You are here in case number 20MM4095. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Drake?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Drake, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Your Honor, it is a witness for Drake.
There is a witness?
Yeah, she just stepped in, Your Honor.
Okay. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, please raise your right hand to be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Tequila Henderson?
Ms. Henderson, do you want to have contact with Mr. Drake?
No.
All right, ma'am, thank you. So, Mr. Drake, the conditions that I previously imposed will remain the same. You're not to have any contact with her, maintain a separate residence. Do you have any questions about the no contact order, sir?
Oh, no, ma'am.
All right. Who's in the courtroom for a pretrial this morning?
It's Courtney. Good morning.
Hey, Courtney, good morning. Could I have Mr. Drake interviewed for PTR?
Okay. So it'll be
Okay.
bond or PTR if qualifies?
Correct. So, sir, I'm going to have you interviewed for the pretrial release program. If you qualify, you'll be released as on that. Otherwise, your bond is $500, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Lamar Carpenter.
Mr. Carpenter, this is 17 CF 2988. It is alleged that you have violated your probation by failing to...
Your Honor, I left my device at home and drove away.
Sir, I understand, and that may be a defense to the violation of probation, which you'll have to talk with your lawyer about. At this time, your bond is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're going to see Judge Whitehead in the next week, and your lawyer can file a bond motion in Division 22.
And he has reporting requirements, Your Honor.
Yes. Mr. Carpenter, you're aware that you have reporting requirements when you're released from the jail?
What, ma'am, I didn't understand you.
You have reporting requirements when you're released from the jail.
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Sean Brown.
Mr. Brown, this is 20 CF 6969. You were arrested for robbery, sudden snatching. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there any witnesses on Mr. Brown's case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Brown, you're not to have any contact with the victims. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond is $1,000, sir. Thank you. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Good morning, Jaquavius Hughley.
Mr. Hughley, this is 20 CF 6927. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for attempted murder in the first degree, aggravated battery causing bodily harm or disability, and discharging a firearm from a vehicle. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Was the state wanting to be heard as to bond?
Yes, Your Honor, we believe, looking at the four corners of the affidavit, that the defendant should be held at no bond. I believe it's charged as a capital offense, even with the attempt, maybe it's first. I believe it's with the attempt is charged as a life felony, Your Honor.
That's correct.
I'm sorry. And we believe the defendant should continue to be held at no bond, and let the original division judge handle whether or not the defendant is entitled to a bond.
Ms. Fowler?
Your Honor, we refer the matter to the court.
Your Honor, no matter what the conditions are, we'd ask for no contact, even if he is remaining in custody, that he does not reach out to the victim or witnesses.
I don't believe that the standard of proof, evident, or presumption is great has been met with the information that's contained within the affidavit for arrest. Mr. Hughley, so you will be entitled to a bond. Bond on count 1 is going to be $250,000. Bond on count 2 is $50,000. Bond on count 3 will be $50,000. You're not to have any contact with the victim as family members in this case, or the victim, or any witnesses. You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms. Do you have a passport, Mr. Hughley?
No, ma'am.
All right. All right, thank you, sir.
The next on the list is Probable. He bonded.
Mr. McClendon bonded? How? Who?
Montalvo.
He bonded. Bond.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. There we go. Are you Mr. McClendon?
No, I'm Raymond.
Mr. Raymond? Okay, how about Mr. McClendon? Vashon? Inmate number 200-13103.
He refused.
Mr. McClendon refused?
Yes.
Okay, I'll find a waiver of his appearance based upon his refusal to come to court. I'll appoint the public defender. His bond is set at none. All right, Mr. Raymond, you are here in 20 CF 6983. You were arrested for burglary of a structure, grand theft third degree, and criminal mischief. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Bond on count 1 is going to be $1,500. Bond on count 2, $150. Bond on count 3, $150. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome.
Next on the list is Woods, Your Honor. He's
Yes.
behavior. Woods.
All right. That's 20 CF 6997. Timothy Woods, I'm going to find a waiver of his appearance based upon his inability to come to court due to his behavior. He was arrested for battery on a corrections officer and aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer. I'll appoint the public defender. There's probable cause for the offenses. Bond on count 1 is $150. Bond on count 2 is $5,000. What about Mr. Braithwaite? Inmate number 200-13078.
Can we pass by him for a moment, Your Honor?
Sure. Sir, tell me your name, please.
Jose Luis Caraballo.
Tell me that again.
Jose Luis Caraballo. Jose Luis Caraballo.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's DUI traffic.
Say Caraballo.
Caraballo.
Got it. Looks like that. Okay. Just let me know whenever you're ready, Erling. Got it? Okay. All right, Mr. Cowell, this is 20 CT 3539. You were arrested for DUI. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond, sir, is set at $1,000. You are not to drive without a valid driver's license. You are not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription. I'm not going to revoke your bond on your out on bond case at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Your name?
Benton.
Mr. Benton, you're here in 20 MM 4092. You were arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond, sir, is going to be $1,000. I'm not going to take any action on your out on bond case at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. Your name?
Good morning. Mark.
What is it?
Mark Brathwaite.
Oh, okay. Mr. Brathwaite, you are here in case number 20 CT 3538. You were arrested for driving while license suspended.
Sorry, Your Honor, what's his last name?
Mr. Brathwaite, we passed
Brathwaite,
by
yeah.
him. I called him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
No objection, ROR, Your Honor.
I don't have a driving record for Mr. Brathwaite.
It looks like he only has a New York driver's license number in our system.
Okay. Did you have one in your stack, Miss Kennedy Swanson?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Mr. Brathwaite, did you want to resolve your case today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to read the plea form?
No.
Okay, why don't you take a moment to review that and let me know if you have any questions.
All right. Judge, I have a question.
Sure.
With this, right? If I just bond out, what's the process with that?
You would have to come back to court on a later day. So if you wanted to plead today, I would withhold adjudication, sentence you to 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days time served, and you'd have to pay court costs.
Okay, what's the court
And the
cost?
case would be over. $306, and I'll give you a year to pay them.
All right, so question.
Yeah,
Would I have time served already, but I have to stay longer?
you will be released today.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, did you read the plea form?
Yeah, I was reading it over. I was just trying to get a
Sure.
opinion.
Do you have any questions about anything that you read?
No, ma'am.
All right, and you're not on probation,
No, ma'am.
and you understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will subject you to deportation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Brathwaite, I am going to accept your plea, withhold adjudication, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You've got credit for 2 days time served. You are not to drive without a valid driver's license.
Oh, my fault.
You're not to drive without a valid driver's license. You will have to pay court costs, which will be due by June 5th of 2021.
Okay.
You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Mr. Brathwaite, if you do not pay those court costs, your driver's license will be suspended again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Another suspension will be on your driver's license.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Sir, good morning, your name?
Donald Sweat.
Mr. Sweat, this is 20 MM 4098. You were arrested for trespass on property after warning. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Actually, are you going to make an offer on this case, Ms. Kennedy Swenson?
Withhold credit for time served.
Okay. So I'm not going to appoint the public defender. And then I want to look to see if an information has been filed. Do you know if an information was filed in the out on bond case?
1 second.
No. Wasn't that one?
No, Your Honor. It looks like it was typed and it's been approved for filing. It has not been filed. That was 2 days ago.
All right, Mr. Sweat, did you want to enter a plea on your new case today?
Sure.
Okay. Did you have a chance to read the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you have any questions about any of the rights you're giving up?
No.
And you're not on probation?
I'm on pretrial release.
Correct, but not probation.
No, ma'am, no.
And you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will subject you to deportation.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
All right, Mr. Sweat, I'm going to accept your plea, withhold adjudication, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You have credit for 2 days time served. You are not to return to Langford Park. You need to abide by the trespass warning and also pay court costs, which will be due by June 5th of 2021. And you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, sir.
Okay, I understand.
Thank you. And I'm not going to revoke your other trespass case.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
How about Mr. Zoya?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Zoya.
Morning.
You are here in 20 CO 487. You were arrested for soliciting without a permit. There's probable cause. I'm going to actually, is there an offer for Mr. Zoya?
Credit for time served, Your Honor.
Mr. Zoya, did you want to accept the state's offer of an adjudication of guilt and credit for time served?
Yes, ma'am. No contest.
All right. Sure. Did you read the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights on the form?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in jail with credit for 3 days time served. You'll have to pay court costs, which are due by June 5th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Thomas. No?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. This is 18 CF 4171. You are here on a violation of probation, which has alleged that you committed a new law offense of battery on June 3rd in Orange County, Florida. At this time, your bond is set at none. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're going to see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do you have next, Your Honor?
Clark Milliken. Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me your name, please.
Clark Milliken.
Mr. Milliken, this is 20-690. You were arrested for indecent conduct. There is probable cause. Is there an offer for Mr. Milliken?
I didn't hear you.
Withhold credit for time served.
All right. Mr. Milliken, did you want to resolve your case this morning? The offer from the state is a withhold of adjudication and credit for time served.
Okay.
Would you like to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you read the plea form?
Not yet.
All right. Take a moment to read the form and then let me know if you have any questions.
Well, there's no way I'd get past 14 under document. I mean, I'm always under the influence of drug and alcohol.
Are you right now?
No, I haven't smoked a cigarette since I've been picked up.
All right. So then what's the problem?
None.
I guess I don't understand.
I'm ready to sign.
All right. Do you understand everything that you read on the plea form?
I haven't read the entire thing, but I have my Miranda rights.
All right, Mr. Milliken. I'm going to accept your plea, withhold adjudication, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You have credit for 2 days time served. You will have to pay court costs. Excuse me. Those are going to be due by June 5th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who was that?
Hello,
Hi, good morning. Tell me your name.
Ernest Carpino.
Oh, Mr. Carpino, you're here in case number 20MM3045. It looks like this was a plea from Judge Dubois' courtroom. It's my understanding that the agreement is an adjudication of guilt, credit for time served, and court costs. Is that your understanding, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And did you read the plea form?
No, I did not.
All right. Take your time reading the form and then let me know if you have any questions. 20MM3045.
May I know when will I be released?
Today.
Today? I understand.
And do you have any questions about any of the rights on the plea form that you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Carpino, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 44 days in jail. You've got credit for 44 days time served. You will have to pay court costs. Those are due by June 5th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Yes. Will I be released today, ma'am?
Yes, sir, you will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, your name?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Cassius Nogami Malcolms.
Yes, sir. Per Judge Estrada, at this time, your bond on your VOP warrant is to remain at none. I'm going to appoint the Orange County Public Defender to represent you, sir, to assist you in coordinating with your attorney in Highlands County. So you're going to be given some information there in the courtroom with how to contact the Orange County Public Defender.
I've already retained counsel for the.
For the violation of probation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then I won't appoint the public defender here to represent you. You'll need to get in contact with your lawyer and they can file any appropriate motions that they need to file.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Sandra Robinson.
Ms. Robinson, per Judge Perkins, this is an out-of-county case out of Volusia County, 19 CF 302579. You are to be released ROR at this time.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to report to your probation officer within 24 hours of your release from the jail, and you'll want to follow up with your attorney as well.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Your name?
Nicholas Ablong.
He's in the out of counties, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, Mr. Ablong, you are here for an out-of-county warrant out of Seminole County related to a violation of probation. At this time, sir, your bond is set at none. I'm going to appoint the public defender here in Orange County to represent you, to assist you in coordinating with Seminole County. We will reach out to Seminole County to see if they'd like to make any modifications to your bond amount. And once we receive a response, we'll bring you back to court to let you know.
Do you know how long that'll take?
Usually the response is a couple of days, so probably maybe Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, so within a week or so?
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Yes. Okay, but you will get information on how to contact the Orange County Public Defender to assist you as well.
Okay, I understand.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Kevion Brinkley.
All right, how about Mr. Anthony Batista?
He bonded, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Brinkley, you are here in 20 CF 6836. You were arrested for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, domestic violence pursuant to a probable cause warrant. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Ms. Brinkley?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Please raise your right hand to be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Kiara London.
All right. Miss London, are you afraid of Miss Brinkley?
No, ma'am.
Do you want to have contact with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you live together?
No, we don't live together. This is my little sister.
Okay.
This was just an all misunderstanding.
All right. Say, did you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Brinkley, at this time, I'm going to order that you're not to have any hostile contact with your sister. Do you understand what that means? It
No
means you're not to
violence?
argue with her. You're not to fight with her. You are not to act aggressive toward her in any way.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes,
You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms. Rennie, how come she didn't qualify for pretrial? Oh, community ties could not be verified. Could I place Ms. Brinkley on pretrial release?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Brinkley, I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
Okay. What's pretrial release?
You're going to be supervised by a pretrial release officer until your case has been resolved in court. So you'll have to call and check in with the pretrial release officer. You don't have to post any money to get out of the jail today. You'll be released later today.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Holly Crawford.
Ms. Crawford, this is 20 CF 7012. You were arrested for battery on a person 65 years of age or older and battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Ms. Crawford?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Could you please raise your right hand to be sworn in?
Yes.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Sharon Lewis.
Miss Lures, is Daniel present as well?
Yes.
Okay. Daniel, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Could you raise your right hand to be sworn in as well?
Yes.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Say that again, sir.
Daniel Crawford.
Thank you. Mr. Crawford, I'll start with you. Do you want to have contact with your sister?
Yes.
Are you afraid of her?
No.
And do you have any objection to her returning to the home?
She doesn't drink.
If she doesn't drink?
Yes.
Okay. Are you afraid of her?
No.
And Ms. Lures, so I'm saying a question to you. Do you want to have contact with Ms. Crawford?
Yes, I do if she doesn't continue drinking after work.
Okay. And are you afraid of her?
Just when she drinks.
I see. Do you have any objection to her returning to the home?
Just provided that I don't know if she needs to get some type of help, if she needs to contact somebody after work so she doesn't drink.
Okay. Ms. Crawford, where do you work?
I work at Great Clips. That was
Okay.
today.
Right. So I'm I'm going to order, Ms. Crawford, that you're not to have any hostile contact with your grandma or your brother. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You are not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription, and you will be tested through PTR for both of those. And I am going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
Okay.
Okay, so if you drink or use drugs and you test positive, your release will be revoked. You'll have to wait in jail for your case to be heard in court. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you know how long?
Thank you very much.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you know how long that's gonna last for?
What will last?
The testing.
The entire time your case is pending.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, good morning. Your name?
Austin Gooseby.
Mr. Gooseby, you're here in 20 CF 7014. You were arrested for tampering with a witness to hinder communication to law enforcement and battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Gooseby?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You can return one time with law enforcement if you need to get your things. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Okay.
Can Mr. Gooseby be placed on pretrial release?
He refused to cooperate with the interview, so we need to get more information from him.
Mr. Gooseby, is there a reason you didn't want to cooperate with pretrial?
Say again?
Is there a reason why you didn't want to cooperate with pretrial when they interviewed you?
I don't remember not cooperating with him, but I was looking to get a bond if I could and go around the pretrial. But if that's the way that we want to go, when I came in, I don't think I was really understanding everything they were saying when I sat down at that desk. Because I was wondering why I didn't get to talk to a pretrial, like when I woke up today. So I wouldn't be opposed to it, but if I can get a bond without having any type of restrictions or meetings, it would be better for me because I go to work. I still work and stuff.
Where do you work?
Florida Distribution Company. Right here.
What are your hours?
I go in at like 6:30 and get off at whenever we finish. So I could be working a 13, 14-hour shift and have to turn right around and find transportation to, here to the pretrial.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to set bond at $1,000 on count 1 and $100 on count 2.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Vince Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, this is 20 CF 6996. You were arrested for aggravated battery on a pregnant person. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness here for Mr. Johnson?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson, you normally have the children, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
They live with you and your mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and then the victim in this case, she lives in Pensacola and she doesn't normally have the kids, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who has the kids now, do you know?
The officer let her take her because I had to get locked up.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, Mr. Johnson, is I'm going to order that you're not to have any contact with the victim, but you can have contact regarding your children through a third party, and I'm going to have that person be your mom.
Okay.
So you can facilitate getting them back.
Okay.
Okay? So no contact with her. You have to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
And he qualifies for a pretrial, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to place Mr. Johnson on pretrial release. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, your name?
Stephen Reyes.
Mr. Reyes, this is 20 CF 6343. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon in violation of a domestic injunction. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Reyes?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Yes, ma'am.
Bond on count 1 is going to be $1,500. Bond on count 2 will be $500. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Did I already say the conditions? Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Your name, sir?
Rodolfo Simancas.
Sir, this is case number 20 CF 6644. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for aggravated stalking after injunction in violation of a domestic injunction. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to abide by the injunction that is currently in place, which is DR 19 DV 4856.
How
You're not
I'm sorry, Your Honor. This lady, he want to make me damage on me. I don't know how I didn't follow her. I just
Your
was.
Honor, I would advise him not to talk about the facts.
Mr. Simancas, I'm not here to talk about the facts of your case today, and I don't want you to either because everything that we say is recorded.
Okay,
So you'll have to talk to your lawyer about any potential defenses that you may have.
okay.
Bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500. Bond on count 2 will be $150. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Timothy Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, you have 2 cases, and I will appoint the public defender to represent you in both. You've got 20
Yes,
CF 7015. You were arrested for false imprisonment, dating violence, and battery dating violence. There's probable cause. Is there a witness for Mr. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Thomas, you're not to have any contact with the victim, and that will also pertain to 20 CF 6518, where you were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for aggravated battery, great bodily harm. They're the same victim. You're not to have any contact in each case. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. If you need to return to the home one time to get your things with the police, you may do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Bond on count 1 in 7015 will be $1,500. Bond on count 2 will be $100. And bond in 6518 will be $2,500. Mr. Thomas, do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, your name?
Joseph Ward.
Mr. Ward, this is 20 CF 7016. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine, battery domestic violence, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I'll appoint the public defender. There's probable cause. Is there a witness for Mr. Ward?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with the police to get your things if you need to. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You are also not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Does Mr. Ward qualify for pretrial release?
He didn't qualify during his interview. Did you want to court order him to pretrial?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Harold Willingham.
Mr. Willingham, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 6970. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for aggravated assault with a firearm, assault, and battery. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Willingham?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. If you need to go back one time with the police to get your things, you may do that. Do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Willingham, do you have any firearms in the home?
No.
Okay.
At the home, yes. I'm sorry.
Are they yours?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you're going to need to surrender those within 6 hours of your release from the jail. You'll need to call the sheriff's department and ask them how to do that. You can't just show up to the police station with your guns.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? And I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, good afternoon. Your name?
Andrea Brown.
All right. And are you Miss Hemmings?
Yes.
All right. Just 1 second. Hemmings is the co-defendant or victim, I guess. Miss Brown, I'll start with you. You were arrested in 20 MM 474 for battery, domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Miss Hemmings, do you want to have contact with Miss Brown?
No.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me. Okay.
Do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. What is probable cause?
It means that there are enough facts in the police report to determine that a crime was committed.
Yes, ma'am.
So they've alleged that you committed battery, and there's facts that support that. I'm not saying it's true.
Okay.
But the facts indicate that that crime would have been committed, if true. Okay?
And what about her crime that when she hit me in my face, you could see it?
Well, I'm going to get to her case in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. But Ms. Brown, you're not to have any contact with Ms. Hemmings, and you are not to possess any weapons or firearms, ma'am. Do you live together?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. And then, Ms. Hemmings, you were arrested in case number 20 MM 475 for battery, domestic violence. There's also probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with Ms. Brown. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms, and I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Good afternoon. Your name?
Calvin Carr.
Mr. Carr, this is 20 MM 4091. You were arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. Is there a witness for Mr. Carr?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, please raise your right hand to be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth as we got?
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name for the record.
Hannah Smith.
Ms. Smith, do you want to have contact with Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Are you afraid of him?
No.
How long have you known Mr. Carr?
I've been with him for about going on 2 weeks now.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. I'm going to order at this time that Mr. Carr, you're not to have any contact with Ms. Smith. You're to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond in that case will be $1,000. And in 19 CF 14127, it's alleged that you violated your probation by being arrested in the case before the court today. There's probable cause for the violation of probation. Bond will be set at none in that case. You'll see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Good afternoon. My name is Eugene Cron.
Mr. Cron, you are here in case number 20 MM 4066. You were arrested for battery, domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Cron?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with law enforcement to get your things if needed. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms.
I understand.
Mr. Cron, you understand that if the state of Florida decides to pursue charges in this case, that you will have to return to Florida regarding those charges.
I understand, madam.
If you failed to appear for court, there would be a warrant issued for your arrest. So anytime that you left the United States and tried to return, you would be arrested upon reentry. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay. Mr. Cron, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time. You're going to get a court date. When you're released from the jail, you need to make sure that you appear at that court date and maintain contact with your lawyer, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Your name?
Tamara McKenzie.
All right, Miss McKenzie. Ms. McKenzie, you were arrested in 20 mm 4088 and 20 mm 4087. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Are there any witnesses for Ms. McKenzie?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Who's present for Ms. McKenzie?
Chevlon McKenzie.
Okay.
I'm Chelsea McCain.
Okay. And could you both raise your right hands to be sworn in by the clerk?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Siobhan, do you want to have contact with Miss McKenzie?
No, ma'am.
All right. Same question to you, ma'am. Do you want to have contact, Chelsea, with Miss McKenzie?
No, ma'am.
All right. So at this time, I'm going to order that you're not to have any contact with Chelsea or Siobhan. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. If you need to return to the house one time with the police to get your things, you may. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm not sure if I said that or not. And I'm going to place you on pretrial release, ma'am, at this time.
Yes.
On both cases.
Judge, I have a question.
Sure.
Can I have an injunction against them? The house is my personal home that I own and pay mortgage for, and I live there with my minor son. So I would like to have an injunction so that I could return home at some point.
Okay, so I am not able to issue an injunction. That's something that you would have to go down to the courthouse and you'd have to file for an injunction down there.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, Your Honor.
Yes.
I also have my son. I will be able to retrieve my son too, right?
Yes.
If I need to get my stuff for more than once, because it's a lot of stuff, what will I do to return? Because I know I can go back to get my son and a few items for me and my son. So if I need to also retrieve extra stuff from the house, because that's my home where I live, my personal home.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. If they're not there, living there, then you can stay there. But at this time, you're only allowed to return once to get the things that you need until the case has been resolved.
Your Honor, my son was left with them, and at this point, they are here, and I don't know where my son is. So if you could ask them to let me know where my son is so I could retrieve him.
How old is your son?
He's 2.5, and I'm his primary caregiver. I have joint custody with his father, and I have him for 5 days of the week, and his father has him on the weekend. So I need to retrieve my son, and they're the only ones at this point who knows where he is.
Okay. Where is her son?
He's with his father.
Okay. Did you hear them?
Okay.
He's with his dad.
Okay.
All right.
Your Honor, I just want to make sure that his father won't try to keep me away from him because of this.
Ma'am, again, that's something that I don't have jurisdiction over. I don't have jurisdiction over your son's father.
Okay.
So if that becomes an issue, you'll have to go to family court to get that resolved.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay? You're welcome, ma'am.
I do have a question, Your Honor.
Yes.
Is there a restraining order placed against her at this time?
No, there's a no contact order.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
My name is John Wesley Wood.
Mr. Wood, this is 20MM 4094. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Wood?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Wood, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. And I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about the no contact order, sir?
No, I've read the paper and I understand it.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Stephen Berkey.
Mr. Berkey, this is 20 CF 4577. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for burglary of a dwelling, petty theft with 2 prior convictions, dealing in stolen property, and receiving money from a pawnbroker by false verification. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to return to the scene. You're not to have any contact with the victims. You're not to go to any pawn store. Your bond on count 1 is $5,000. Your bond on count 2 is $150, 3 $150, 4 $150. And I'm revoking the bond in 20 CF 2531. That will be set at none. Oh, wait, just 1 second. Yes, that bond will be revoked, set at none. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, good afternoon. Your name?
Kara Gentry.
Miss Gentry, you're here in 20 CF 7006. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia, as well as possession of fentanyl and introducing contraband into a county facility in 20 CF 7017. There's probable cause for all the offenses, ma'am. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Bond in 7017 will be $150 on count 1, $150 on count 2. And then bond in 7006 on count 1 will be $1,000 and on count 2 will be $100. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription.
Right.
And I'm revoking the bonds on your out on bond cases, ma'am. Those are going to be set at none.
Okay.
Thank you. $1,100. Oh, subsidiaries, 150, 150? 7017? Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Marvin Goodman, ma'am.
Mr. Goodman, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 7002. You were arrested for aggravated battery on a pregnant person. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness there for Mr. Goodman?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Goodman, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms. Your bond, sir, is $3,500. Thank you.
Are they gonna take the hold off me, ma'am?
Well, it's there for 5 days. It depends on whether or not probation's going to file a VOP.
I'm not on probation. I'm not on probation or nothing.
Well, it does say ends 2/24/19. Courtney, is that a mistake?
It's still showing as supervised.
Just a minute.
On the
I
DOC
completed
website, and we also received notification from DOC that they plan to file.
I just finished this August 31st. Last year, I just finished all this up.
You need to call your PO.
Bro, it's crazy. Bro,
Is there a case number for that VOP, or is it not an Orange County case?
It's 3 different case numbers: 15-02673, 1002042, and 102044. 1 is Orange County and 2 are Osceola.
Mr. Goodman, you'll have to talk to the public defender regarding those cases. I don't have any information on the Osceola County cases to contradict what the DOC website is saying, but I would get in touch with them today regarding the probation issue. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, your name?
How you doing? Frank DeLon Lipsy.
Mr. Lipsy, this is 20 CF 6964. You were arrested for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of a counterfeit driver's license. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500. Your bond on count 2 is $150. All right. I'm not going to take any action on your out on bond case at this time, sir. I'm not revoking your bond on your Dwillis.
Okay, so I'm good on that.
You're good on that. There's no court date set yet either, so I would contact the public defender's office to see when it might be reset.
Yeah, I've been in contact with him as well.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Desmond Lopez.
Mr. Lopez, you were arrested pursuant to a warrant in 20 CF 6981. I'll appoint the public defender. You were arrested for burglary of a conveyance, grand theft, dealing in stolen property, and receiving money from a pawnbroker by false verification. You are not to return to the scene. You're not to have any contact with the victims. You are not to go to any pawn shop. Bond on count 1 is $3,500. Actually, bond on count 1 will be 2,500. Bond on count 2, 150. Bond on count 3, 150. Bond on count 4, 150. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Your name, sir?
Sean Miola.
Mr. Miola, this is 20 CF 6961. You were arrested for possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell, possession of cannabis more than 20 grams, possession of drug paraphernalia, and violation of an emergency order. So this one is odd because there's 20 MO 689 and then the 20 in the 20 CF case, the officer writes in the affidavit that he was arresting him for the disorderly in lieu of the emergency order. So I'm going to ROR him on 20 MO 689 and then, okay. And then I'll set bond in the CF case.
Notice an R on the Willis.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I'm going to put Mr. Miola on pretrial release anyway. Mr. Miola, you are not to drive without a valid driver's license. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription. You'll be tested through PTR, and you're to appear at all court dates, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On all of them.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Yes, there is PC on all of them. Good afternoon, sir. Tell me your name.
My name is Robert Emmanuel Sanchez III.
All right, how about Mr. Porter?
Porter refused court, Your Honor.
All right, that's 20 CF 6222. I'm finding a waiver of Mr. Porter's appearance based upon his refusal to come to court. He was arrested pursuant to a warrant for failing to report a name or residence change. His bond is going to be $1,000, and he has reporting requirements. And then how about Mr. Ruffin?
He's medical.
All right. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Do you want to waive his appearance, Ms. Fowler? It's a FTA.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and that's 19 CF 995. He failed to appear for arraignment back in July of 2019. His bond is set at none. And you're Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. You are here in case number 20 CF 6972. You were arrested for burglary of an unoccupied structure. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond is $2,500. You're not to return to the scene or have any contact with the victim.
Okay.
Thank you. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Eric Schnipp.
Mr. Schnepp, you are here in several cases this morning or this afternoon. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in all of them. You have 20 CF 7000. You were arrested for possession of heroin. There's probable cause for that offense. Bond will be $100. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription. You have a bond on a violation of probation, 18 CF 3879, which I will revoke at this time, and that will be set at none. I'm revoking the bond in 20 CF 4552. That will be set at none. And then you were arrested for driving while license suspended, third or subsequent offense, DUI with property damage or personal injury, 2 counts, and leaving the scene of an accident or unattended vehicle or property. And that's in 20 CF 7018. There's probable cause for those offenses as well, sir. Bond on count 1 is $2,500. Bond on count 2, 100, 3, 100, and count 4, 100. Thank you, sir.
Ma'am.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Kelvin Williams.
Mr. Williams, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 6991. You were arrested for inciting riots pursuant to a probable cause warrant. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir.
On this case.
Sure.
Sorry, my computer's a second slow. Objection to RR, Your Honor.
Courtney, can I have Mr. Williams screen for pretrial release, please?
Did you want to set a bond in the alternative as well?
Yeah, I'm going to set bond at $2,500 or pretrial if he qualifies. Mr. Williams, you are not to access social media. That's including but not limited to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, or TikTok. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Your name?
Steve Cherubin.
Sir, you are here in 20 MM 4065. You were arrested for 3 counts of resisting officer without violence, violation of the curfew, and disorderly conduct.
The state has no objection to ROR.
All right. I do find probable cause for all the offenses. I'll appoint the public defender.
Your Honor,
Yes?
I actually have a PC challenge for the disorderly conduct.
Okay, go ahead.
Within the affidavit, it only addresses the resisting officer without violence charges. It does not mention anything about the defendant's actions that would be considered disorderly, specifically his interactions with the police officers. He did not act in a violent manner that could put himself or the officers in danger.
Okay, I'll find PC on counts 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to place Mr. Sherbin on pretrial release. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
How you doing today, Your Honor?
Good, sir. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
All right. You're Mr. Is it Michelle?
Yes,
or
ma'am.
Michael?
Michelle.
Michelle. Sir, you were arrested. You have 3 cases this afternoon. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in all of them. You have 20 MM 4093. You were arrested for providing false ID to law enforcement. There is probable cause, sir. I will appoint the public defender, as I said, to represent you. Bond is $500. You have a violation of probation out of Broward County based upon the facts in the new law case. There's probable cause for the violation of probation. That bond will be set at none. You also have another violation of probation case out of Broward County based upon the new law arrest, and bond will be set at none, sir. So what I'm going to do actually on the out-of-county violations of probation, Mr. Michelle, is I'm going to appoint the Orange County Public Defender to help you coordinate with your lawyers in the other counties so that they can file any appropriate motions to help you, because they're not transporting the inmates between the jails at this time.
So I can't get on bond for my...
Not today. You're going to need a lawyer to help you with the violations of probation. You have a bond on the case you just got arrested for, but you don't have a bond on your violations of probation. You need to have your lawyer file a motion on those cases. Thank you, sir.
So, okay, can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
So I'm not going to be transferred to Broward?
I don't know when. So because of the coronavirus, they're not transferring inmates between the jails. Some of the counties have started again, some of the smaller surrounding counties, but I don't believe Broward is one of those counties.
Okay, so that means I'm going to be held here on violation
Right.
of probation?
Correct. And that's why I appointed a lawyer here in Orange County to help you with that case. So the case can still continue. You'll just physically be in Orange County. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Your name?
James Rivero.
How about Mr. Noble?
He's mental health, Your Honor.
He what?
Mental health.
All right.
Your Honor, can we reset Mr. Noble?
I would release Mr. Noble ROR.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'm going to appoint your office, and you're going to waive his appearance.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. That's 20 MM 471. He was arrested for trespass on property after warning and resisting officer without violence. There is probable cause for the offenses. He's not to return to the 7-Eleven. He's not to possess any weapons or firearms. He's to appear at all court dates, and he'll be released on his own recognizance. And you're Mr. Rivera?
Thank you.
All right, sir, you were arrested in 20 MM 265 for trespass on property after warning.
Yes.
There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to, well, actually, is there an offer for Mr. Rivera?
Adjudication of guilt, credit for time served, no return.
All right, Mr. Rivera, did you want to accept the state's offer of an adjudication of guilt, credit
Yes.
for time served, and no return to the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, did you read the plea form?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You have credit for 2 days time served. You are not to return to the scene. You'll have to pay court costs, which will be due by June 6th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And I did not appoint the public defender. Good afternoon. Your name, sir?
Good afternoon, George.
Are you Mr. Garrett?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, right, so you are here for an out-of-county warrant out of Hillsborough County related to a violation of probation for reckless driving. At this time, sir, your bond is set at none. I'm going to appoint the public defender here in Orange County to help you with this case. In the meantime, we will reach out to Hillsborough County to see if they'd like to modify your bond. Once we hear back from Hillsborough County, we'll bring you back to court and let you know what the response was.
Okay, I actually have a lawyer working on it now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I won't. You've already hired an attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I'm not going to appoint the public defender here to represent you because you wouldn't need that. We will still reach out to the Hillsborough County judge, issuing judge, to see if they would like to modify it.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Thank you,
Judge.
sir. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Mr. Hart, Jeremy Hart.
Mr. Hart, you are here for a child support writ out of Volusia County. Your purge amount is $420. We will be reaching out to Volusia County to see if they'd like to release you and provide you with a court date. If you don't pay you can pay the purge and be released. If you're unable to do that, as soon as we hear back from Volusia County, you'll be brought back to court and provided with the court's response.
I already paid it. It's just a mishap with the clerk of courts of Volusia. But if I need to pay again, I can pay right now, no problem.
Okay. I don't know if it's a mishap. I don't know. I don't have that information. But like I said, if you can pay it, you can pay it and be released. Otherwise, I'll try to get with the Volusia County judge to see if they want to provide you a court date.
I'd rather just pay it so I can get back to work.
I understand, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, good afternoon. Your name?
Good afternoon. My name is Cheyenne.
Are you Miss Malcolm?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, this is an out-of-county warrant out of Osceola County. Your bond is set at $2,999. I will appoint the Orange County Public Defender to help you coordinate with Osceola County.
What does that mean?
Your bond?
No, you said you were going to do something and help coordinate. What does that mean?
Right, so unless you bond out, you're going to be staying in Orange County because they're not moving inmates between the counties right now. So if you can't afford your bond, you're going to be staying here and you'll need a lawyer here in this county.
Okay. And
okay.
What about my Altamont hold or Seminole County hold?
I don't have any information today about that hold.
Okay.
But you can talk to the public defender, the Orange County Public Defender, about all your cases.
All right. And when would I be able to speak to one?
So you should be given an information sheet there in the courtroom that will tell you how to contact their office.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do that today.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Christopher Van Agren, ma'am.
You said Christopher Van?
Technically Van Agren, ma'am, but they listed as Van.
I see it. Okay. Sir, you are here on an out-of-county warrant from Pinellas County related to a violation of probation. Your bond is set at none. Yes, I will appoint the Orange County Public Defender to assist you on this case, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And he has reporting requirements.
Yes, sir. You understand when you're released from the jail, you do have reporting requirements.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Are you Mr. Hines?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, this is 19 CF 3577. You were arrested for allegedly violating your probation by moving without getting permission and failing to successfully complete your drug or alcohol class. Your bond is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're going to see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Your name?
Tavon Sherrod.
Mr. Sherrod, you are here for a violation of probation in 19 CF 2107. It is alleged that you violated your probation by failing to report as directed in January of 2020, and you moved without getting permission. Your bond at this time is set at none. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. And then it looks like you also failed to appear in that case as well, and the bond remains at none. Is that a different one? Mr. Sherrod, you also have 18 CF 11632, which is another violation of probation, again alleging that you failed to report and moved without getting permission. There's another failure to appear in that case as well. And that's the same one. And then your final case, 18 CF 5830, it's another violation of probation. Again, alleging you failed to report and moved without getting permission. And that also includes the failure to appear. All right, Mr. Sherrod, so in all of your cases, your bond is set at none. The public defender is appointed, and you're going to see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days. Thank you. How about Ms. Ramos?
Bonded, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Kennedy Swenson, are you ready on the 33-day motion?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay. 20 CF 5462, Dexter Mitchell.
That should be granted the state file notice of non-filing before the 33rd day.
That will be granted. 20 CF 5479, Christopher Cooper.
That should be granted the state file notice of non-filing before the 33rd day.
That'll be granted. 20 CF 5215, Tyrek Nichols.
That should be granted the state file notice of non-filing.
And that will be granted. All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then court will be in recess. Bye, everyone. We'll see you Monday.
See you Monday, Judge.
Yay. Okay. Have a good weekend.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Judge Epperson. We're here for initial appearance, a brief hearing for the court to determine probable cause for incarceration, and if so, bond conditions that may be appropriate. I see, I believe, well, I'll just have people put their names on the record from the state attorney's office.
Alex Carter with the state.
From the public defender's office.
Ben Houston King from the Public Defender's Office, Your Honor.
Okay, and from Pretrial Release.
Officer Ray Okendo.
And I know there's another individual there at the podium.
Attorney Ronald Lejean on behalf of Brandon Andrews.
It's a dark screen. I didn't recognize you there, Mr. Lejean. Okay. Well, you can call your client up. I didn't hear who it was.
Brandon Andrews, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. Hello, Mr. Andrews.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Before I go further, though, Mr. Lejean, did you wish to be heard?
Your Honor, we, of course, would like to have a bond, reasonable bond set, and I've spoken to his mother, and she feels she can make a reasonable bond for him. And he will be staying with his mom and stepdad.
Okay, and State, did you have any input?
We would defer to the court, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Okendo, any history?
The defendant has 2 prior arrests. One local arrest back in 2016 for possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana under 20 grams, carrying a concealed weapon. He was found guilty for that. And one arrest out of Texas, July 2019, carrying an unlicensed weapon, disposition unknown. That is all, Judge.
All right, Mr. Andrews, first of all, I find probable cause for count 1 battery. I do not find probable cause for count 2 criminal mischief. I'm open to entertaining arguments on that, but I'm presuming that it was based upon the fact the cell phone was thrown out of a window, but there was no further details in terms of it being damaged or otherwise its verity impaired. Any argument on that, State? There was not any reference to the ownership of the vehicle, and if it belonged to the defendant, then that would not be the basis.
The vehicle was his, Your Honor.
I have no further information about the damage regarding the phone. In order to clarify, state would request a 24-hour reset to get a supplemental documentation. Perhaps there was some information about the damage to the phone, but I don't have any additional information.
Okay, well, it would seem that that's a reasonable request. However, it would seem that that would be an element or that the officer would be able to include initially. So I'm not going to defer. I'm going to go ahead and make my findings. On count one battery, I find probable cause. I'm going to set the bond in the amount of $750. Mr. Andrews, should you make bond, it would be subject to pretrial release supervision. You're to have no contact with Miss Cindy Centron. Also, you're not to possess any weapons or firearms during the pendency of the hearing, until further order of the court or until the case is concluded, not to possess any weapons or firearms. The defendant will be released on his own recognizance as to the criminal mischief charge on count two. One moment. All right, and that's it. Next court date, Madam Clerk?
Next court date is still in jail, June 18th, and filed June 26th in courtroom 4A at 9:30 a.m.
All right, thank you.
I'm not sure if you said this and I missed it, but the state would request no contact with the victim in this case.
Yeah, I did order no contact with the named victim, Cindy Centron. All right, thank you, Mr. Lejean.
Thank you.
Heath Pitzenberger,
PD approved.
public defender appointed.
And, Your Honor, we would request the waiving of the reading of the charges on this case.
All right, the court need not make a probable cause finding. That was determined by a prior judge upon reviewing an affidavit for an arrest warrant. The court has, however, reviewed the affidavit for the purpose of determining proper conditions. The defendant's now before the court. Mr. Pitzenberger, your date of birth?
02/04/02.
All right. And Mr. Okendo, any history?
Defendant has mostly juvenile history, or all of it juvenile history, 2019 to 2020, charges of vehicle grand theft, battery, kidnapping, trespassing. Those charges were dropped. And the latest arrest coming in February 2020, burglary on unoccupied conveyance. Those charges were dropped. Has 3 open cases, juvenile matters, charges of loitering, burglary on occupied conveyance, and threats to law enforcement.
All right. Counsel for defense has requested a waiver of the reading of the charge, so I won't announce the charge. However, taking into account the predicate for the probable cause that was found in terms of the facts, the bond will be $25,000. Mr. Pitzenberger, should you make bond, you're to have no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim. You're to have no contact with Justin Lefevre. You're not to possess or consume any alcoholic beverages or go to any bars. You're also not to have any unsupervised contact with any minor. And you're not to possess any device. Mr. Pitzenberger, are you paying attention?
Yes,
All right, you're not to possess any device which has the means of accessing the internet. All right, now that's, in our society, that's unusual, but you cannot possess any device capable of accessing the internet. That would include any cell phone that had that capacity. All right, your next court date as follows.
On demand.
Thank you. Sure.
And the public defender was appointed?
Public defender was appointed.
Okay. I know we're still being appointed to everything, but
Okay. Let me go to our interpreter matters. If our interpreter is present, okay, and then make sure you are in front of a microphone. If you could announce your name for the record.
Alan Figueroa, State Certified Spanish Court Interpreter.
Okay, Mr. Figueroa, we do have a few cases for you. We'll start with Diana Ariza Abrera.
PD approved.
Public defender appointed.
thank you. They're bringing her up from the back.
Okay.
And the victim.
Okay, and we're awaiting the entry of the alleged victim, Alexander Santiago, I presume.
And just for your information, this defendant has already posted bonds on count 3. The defendant has posted bonds on count 3.
La acusada ya ha depositado fianza en el tercer cargo.
And our jail mental health counselor is requesting ROR on this defendant so she can be Baker acted.
Y la consejera de salud mental de la cárcel está pidiendo libertad bajo palabra.
There's a Baker Act detainer in place to have her Baker Act if released.
Ya que hay una orden de retención bajo la ley Baker para que quede en libertad.
Okay, sir, can you please state your name?
Alexander Santiago.
Okay, Mr. Alexander Santiago is present and can hear and see what's taking place.
Bien, el señor Alexander Santiago está presente y puede ver y escuchar lo que está ocurriendo.
Public defender appointed.
Se ha designado defensor público.
Ms. Ariza Abrera, I've reviewed the police report and I find probable cause for the listed offenses of count 1 aggravated assault and count 2 aggravated battery.
Señorita Ariza, he leído el documento de arresto y también que existe indicio de criminalidad para los cargos de agresión física calificada y de amenaza calificada.
Mr. Santiago, because you are the named victim, you have the right to be heard today. If there's something that you wanted to say, it'll need to be a translation of that.
Señor Santiago, ya que usted es la supuesta víctima, usted tiene el derecho a dar su opinión con respecto a lo que ocurra hoy y lo que diga será traducido.
Is there anything you wanted to tell the court?
Yes, Your Honor. I just want a second chance, and I know that everything went out of hand. She drank those two glasses of wine, and she went. That wasn't her at all. She's a great person, and I just want to say that if I can drop all the charges, so she can go back home and take care of the kid.
Así, su señor, quisiera pedir que se le diera una segunda oportunidad. Sé que las cosas se salieron de las manos, ella se bebió 2 copas de vino y esa persona no era sí misma, ella es una gran persona y quisiera pedir que se retiren todos los cargos para que ella pueda regresar.
Mr. Okendo, I know you spoke already somewhat to this case. History?
She has no prior criminal history, Judge.
Ella no tiene ningún antecedente, su señoría.
And there is a detainer in place.
There is a detainer for having her Baker acted if she's ROR.
Y hay una orden de retención vigente, hay una orden de retención bajo la ley Baker si ella queda en libertad bajo palabra.
I'm trying to remember the age of the child, and I know the child's very young.
3 months.
3 months? Yes.
Estoy tratando de recordar la edad del bebé, sé que el bebé es bien joven, 3 meses.
All right, Ms. Ariza Abrera, can corrections confirm that there is a detainer that's been finalized and that it's in place? I mean, I know you're with Pretrial Release, so you should know.
Yes, Judge. I was informed by our mental health counselors that she can be Baker acted because of the mental health status of the defendant at this moment. They placed a detainer on hold. That's why I'm conveying that information.
All right, the defendant will be released and transported pursuant to the detainer for evaluation to Park Place. And if the defendant is released from jail, or when the defendant is released from jail, following conditions of release apply. You're to have no hostile contact whatsoever with Mr. Alexander Santiago. No hostile contact prohibits any acts of violence, but also any threats of violence or any acts of intimidation. Also, until further order of the court, and this can be modified, possibly, but until further order of the court, you must maintain a separate residence from Alexander Santiago and David Santiago. You must not possess any weapons or firearms. You must not possess or consume any alcoholic beverages or go to any bars. You must have no unsupervised contact with David Santiago. No unsupervised contact. You can talk to your attorney about possible modifications to this, but this is the order for now.
Bien, dado que sí existe una orden de retención con respecto a la ley Baker, ella se le otorgará la libertad y será transportada en el momento en que salga de la cárcel a Park Place para una evaluación Cuando quede en libertad la cárcel, las condiciones de la libertad serán prohibido el contacto hostil con el señor Alex Santiago. El contacto hostil significa nada de violencia, nada de amenazas, nada de intimidación, tanto para Alexander Santiago como para David Santiago.
In addition,
I'm sorry, Your Honor, there's still more.
Okay, oh, sorry.
I apologize. Debe buscarse otro paradero de David Santiago. Se le prohíbe la tenencia de ningún tipo de arma, ya sea arma de fuego o arma blanca. Nada de bebidas alcohólicas, ni ir a ningún bar o sitio en el que se venda bebida alcohólica, y cero contacto sin supervisión.
in addition, Ms. Arisa, if any treatment is recommended or any medications are prescribed, you must faithfully follow any such treatment and take all prescribed medications.
Y adicionalmente, si se recomienda algún tratamiento o algún medicamento, debe acatarse al tratamiento y tomarse todos los medicamentos tal y como sean recetados.
All right, thank you.
Gracias.
Sorry, Your Honor, the state would be objecting to no hostile contact. The state would request no contact with the victim and the children, considering the charges.
La Fiscalía desea objetar ante la prohibición de contacto con hostilidad y desea que se otorgue una prohibición de contacto completo, cero contacto, dado los cargos y la presencia del bebé.
That is what I had originally written on my notes. Mr. Alexander Santiago, do you have any fear of being harmed by the alleged defendant?
No.
By the defendant?
Señor Alexander Santiago, ¿siente usted algún temor de que ella lo vaya a agredir, de que la acusada lo agreda? No.
And I understand the state's concerns based upon not only the alleged facts, but the commentary that was given by the defendant allegedly.
Entiendo la preocupación de la Fiscalía, dado los hechos y los comentarios hechos por la acusada.
All right, I'm going to maintain the order as I've put it. Again, remember that's no unsupervised contact with the child, David Santiago.
Mantendré la orden tal y como la había emitido. De nuevo, se le prohíbe el contacto sin supervisión con el menor David Santiago.
All right, thank you.
Gracias.
Next court date on demand.
La próxima fecha de comparecencia será anunciada cuando sea emitida.
Patricia Hernandez de Taveras,
PD approved.
public defender appointed. Good afternoon.
Buenas tardes.
I've reviewed the police report. I find probable cause for aggravated assault, count 1, battery, count 2.
He leído el informe de arresto y determino que existe indicios de criminalidad para el primer cargo de agresión calificada y de agresión física.
Public defender is appointed. History, Mr. Kinda.
The defendant has one prior arrest in 2013, charges of criminal mischief and domestic battery. The victim in this case is requesting no contact.
Ella tiene algún historial, representante de la libertad provisional. Ella tiene un antecedente del 2013 por causar daños a propiedad ajena y por agresión física en violencia doméstica. La víctima está pidiendo cero contacto.
Bond on count 1 ag assault is $1,000. Bond count 2, $500. Should you make bond, you're to have no contact whatsoever with Mr. Raymond Godinez. That means you must, of course, maintain a separate residence.
La fianza en el primer cargo se fijará en $1,000 y ante el segundo cargo en $500. Si usted deposita la fianza, se le prohíbe el contacto con la víctima Raymond Godinez. Eso significa debe buscarse otro paradero.
Next court date as follows.
Next court date on demand.
La próxima fecha de comparecencia será anunciada cuando sea fijada.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Well, that's why I'm just going to keep it, must maintain a separate residence and no contact.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I understand that. That's what I was, they both, I think, listed it as a permanent. 1, Rios Diaz.
PD approved.
Public defender appointed. Mr. Diaz, I find probable cause for possession of controlled substance without a prescription, possession of heroin, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Se le designa el defensor público. Señor Ríos, determino que existe indicio de criminalidad para la acusación de tenencia de una sustancia controlada, tenencia de heroína y de adminículos de droga.
Mr. Kendo, history.
The defendant has history going back to 1999, charges of drug paraphernalia, battery, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of marijuana, has a total of 6 failure to appears. Most recent arrest came in 2019, a charge of trespassing.
Él tiene antecedentes que comienzan desde el 1999 por tenencia de adminículos de droga, agresión física, tenencia de adminículos de droga, tenencia de marihuana, 6 faltas de comparecencia. El último arresto fue en el 2019.
The defendant has an active warrant out of the state of Massachusetts for carrying a prohibited weapon.
Él tiene una orden de arresto vigente del estado de Massachusetts por portar un arma.
There's no extradition on that. That is all, Judge.
No hay una orden de extradición en este momento.
Mr. Rios, bonds will remain as they've been set, $2,500 for counts 1 and 2, $500 count 3, subject to pretrial release supervision. Must
Will not qualify, Judge. I'm sorry, because of the warrant.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, so those are the bond amounts.
Bien, señor. Entonces las fianzas se mantendrán tal cual se habían fijado, 2.500 para los 2 primeros cargos, 500 para el tercer cargo y no reúnen los requisitos para la libertad provisional.
Next court date as follows.
Next court date on demand.
La próxima fecha de comparecencia será anunciada cuando sea fijada.
Thank you. Roy, is that the, that was the last interpreter case. Thank you, Mr. Figueroa.
Not a problem, Your Honor.
Roy Alfanador Fella.
PD approved.
Fella. Public defender appointed.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello. I do find probable cause for driving while license suspended with knowledge and driving with an expired license more than 6 months. Your bond will be $2,500 on count 1, $500 on count 2. There's probable cause to believe you committed new traffic criminal offenses while out on bond on criminal traffic offenses in 20 CF 817. That's a case in front of Judge Morgan. Your bond will be revoked in that case. That's 20 CF 817, 0 bond. Public defender, again, has been appointed. Your next court date as follows.
Next court date for 2020 CT 1433 and 1434. If still in jail, June 18th and filed June 26th in courtroom 4A at 9 a.m.
Gonzalez Cuts,
PD approved.
public defender appointed. Yes. Okay, in the Cuts case, I've reviewed the police report. I find probable cause for the listed offenses of burglary of a dwelling, criminal mischief, resisting without violence. And Mr. Akendo, history?
The defendant has 1 prior arrest in 2018, burglary of an occupied structure unarmed and resisting officer without violence. He was found guilty for that. He does qualify for direct PTO.
On a burglary of a dwelling, they qualify for straight PTR?
Because it's unoccupied, Judge.
Okay, all right. There's definitely a diversity of fact patterns that give rise to the charge, but just surprising. Bond on count 1 will be $2,500. Bond on count 2 will be $100. Bond on count 3, $100. Also, you're not to return to 207 Lindo Court in Kissimmee. And your next court date as follows.
Next court date on demand.
An individual listed as John Doe 3113.
PD approved.
And Judge, just for your information, this defendant has refused to have his fingerprints taken, so right now we do not know who he is.
Okay, that makes it easy. No bond, both cases. PD appointed.
Your Honor, sorry, Mr. Cutts was still up here. He asked if he could have a one-time return to the location because he was living there and has stuff there.
I've been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he says he was living there for 2 weeks. Yes,
Mm-hmm. Let me take that under advisement. I'll announce it when I'm done with IAs.
And did you want Mr. John Doe to come up?
Sure, John, he can come up to receive his information.
I apologize, Your Honor. I just moving slow.
Okay, that's all right. Sir, you're going to be held on no bond on both cases. I will reset the case for tomorrow for initial appearances in the event that you choose to have your prints rolled so that a bond could be given to you.
He is willing to have his fingerprints done, Your Honor.
Okay, we're still resetting him for tomorrow.
Okay.
0-0. Thank you.
Wait, did you find probable?
I did find probable cause on both counts, and it's double zeros. Yeah.
petty theft, first offense, and false ID.
I apologize. I needed to go ahead and advise him of that. You can step back to the podium there, sir. I do find probable cause for the listed offenses of petty theft and also providing false identification information to law enforcement while lawfully detained because there were two separate names given and they couldn't mutually be accurate. So there's probable cause. And once your fingerprints are rolled, then we'll consider giving an appropriate bond. But it'll be 0-0 for now, and we'll reset it tomorrow because he's indicated he's going to give his prints. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Raymond Godinez,
PD approved.
provisional appointment of the Public Defender's Office. There's probably a conflict because I appointed on the other participant in this matter.
Our office will review and file the proper motion with the proper client, Your Honor.
Okay, where is Mr. Godinez?
I think I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
The cage in the back.
All right, good afternoon. Mr. Godinez, I've reviewed the police report. I find probable cause for the two listed counts of battery, one by strangulation, the other just battery. Mr. Kendo, history?
The defendant has 2 prior arrests, a total of 3 domestic batteries charges which were dropped, and 2 counts of sex assault which were dropped. That is all, Judge. And the victim, in this case, is requesting contact.
All right, bond on count 1 will be $3,500. Bond on count 2, $500. For now, you're to have no contact with Ms. Patricia Mercedes Hernandez de Taveras, and you also must maintain a separate residence. All right, no contact, must maintain a separate residence. Your next court date?
Next
will be
court
Friday.
date on demand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go off record a minute. Rodrigo Granda?
PD approved.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I have reviewed the police report. I find probable cause for trespassing. Set bond in this case at $250 in order that you not return to the racetrack at 1470 East Osceola Parkway. You were before the court not so long ago on another trespass, and you were ROR'd. I think that involved a 7-Eleven. You were released on your own recognizance, and you're back before the court on another trespass. So I'm going to revoke your ROR status and give you a $250 bond in case 2020 MM821. That's 2020 MM821. All right, Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You're not to return to 1470 East Osceola Parkway, the racetrack station, if you bond out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm and there I was crossing the racetrack.
In a minute, yeah, he's talking to him, yeah. He's giving the universal.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. Anything? Okay, your client does he wish to address the court? Nothing. That's okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Next court date is still in jail, June 18th. If out, July 13th, a quorum 5B at 8:30 a.m.
It was about the facts of the day, so I didn't think it was appropriate.
Okay, all right, Counselor. Samira Jackson,
PD approved.
Public Defender appointed.
Hello.
Hello, Ms. Jackson. I have reviewed the police report based on a probable cause threshold. I find it's established by the affidavit. Mr. Kendo, history?
Defendant has 1 arrest going back to 2014, 2 counts of petty theft and resisting arrest without violence. She was found guilty. The victim is requesting contact in this case.
Okay, I'm going to give a bond of $250, and you're not to have, for now, you're to have no contact with Mr. Wiltshire, Stuart Wiltshire. You must maintain a separate residence as well, and your next court date as follows.
If still in jail, June 18th. If out, June 26th in courtroom 4E at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Isaac Unap,
PD approved.
public defender appointed. Hello, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Good, thank you. Mr. Kendo, history.
Defendant has extensive history going back to 1994, charges of aggravated battery, battery on inmate, possession of meth, failure to appear, has a total of 8 failure to appears. The last arrest coming in November 2018 for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, domestic nature, those charges were dropped. The defendant qualifies for direct PTR.
All right, given the number of failures to appear and some of the other history, I'll decline on the straight PTR. Your bond on each count will be $1,000, and Mr. Unap, should you make bond supervised by pretrial release, you're not to return to 1702 North Main Street, the Save-A-Lot. You're also not to return to 1704, which is the Florida Plaza Liquors. You're to have no contact with Ms. Anna Woolitz and no contact with Ms. Katina Pyle. You must not possess or consume any alcoholic beverages or go to any bars, and you'd be subject to random alcohol drug testing while on pretrial release supervision. Your next court date be provided.
If still in jail, June 18th. If out, June 26th in courtroom 4A at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Roll Wiltshire.
PD approved.
Public defender appointed. Provisionally, I'm sure there may be a conflict due to representation of the other individual involved in this. All right, Mr. Wiltshire, I have reviewed the police report. I do find probable cause for the offense of battery. Mr. Oquendo?
Defendant has 2 prior arrests in 2018, both possession of marijuana under 20 grams, drug paraphernalia, found guilty on those. 2 counts of failure to appear in December 2018, and another count of possession of marijuana under 20 grams. That charge was dropped, and the victim requests contact.
All right. Bond will be $1,000. You're to have no contact with Miss Samira Jackson, and you must not return to 761 Madeira Court in Kissimmee, Florida. Don't go back to that location. Your next court date as follows.
If still in jail, June 18th. If out, June 26th in courtroom 4A at 10 a.m.
All right, thank you. Mr. King, I think we've run the docket. Do you share that sentiment?
Okay, yeah, I think that's everybody. The only one I have we didn't address was Govender, but I don't think they're here.
He bonded.
Okay.
All right, have a great weekend. Thank you, everyone. We're in recess.
Your Honor, I don't know if you can, I don't know. Can you still hear us?
Touchdown.
We asked to have Mr. Cutts recalled for
Okay.
the one-time return if you'd
Oh, yeah, that's right. I reserved on that, didn't I? So this was allegedly a squatter situation. I remember it very well. I doubt the clothes are still there.
I had a lot of food and clothes and
Yeah.
other property. Yes, sir.
I'm guessing they're
And
gone, but I don't know that.
Under my situation, obviously, I need everything that I have. I paid
Okay.
money for it.
Okay, the court will grant a one-time return with the assistance of the sheriff's office for A, determining whether any of your contents are there, and B, if so, allowing you to acquire those. I'm not 100% sure how the ease of that endeavor, because this is a home that's owned by someone living out of state that's managed by a property manager. So I'm not going to impose any special burdens on law enforcement to beyond perhaps one time reaching out to the property manager for assistance in accessing the property. All right, so I'm granting an assist order for that purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yep, enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
You too.